Hey, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining our podcast today. This is the All In Leadership Podcast. I'm David Gadberry, the founder of All In Leadership Coaching and Consulting. And we're just doing this podcast because we love leadership. And this is episode 2, and I hope that you're enjoying them so far. And if you really want to study leadership and you really want to help others who may be leaders or in leadership positions to know more about leadership, the practical things of it, the ideas of it, the philosophies of it, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like it, comment on it, share it, because we want to help a lot of people if we can, and we're trying to build something significant. So help us be a part of that by helping us with that. Subscribe, like, comment, share. And if you have any questions or thoughts, please feel free to ask. If you have certain things you want us to talk about or discuss, please feel free to do so. We're going to be bringing some leaders on to interview, and I think you're really going to appreciate what they have to say and what they've done in their life and how that can help you. So thank you so much for being a part. And today we want to talk about identity-driven leadership. Why secure leaders win. Why do secure leaders win? Leadership problems are rarely skill problems. And this is something we need to understand. They're usually identity problems. If you don't know who you are, then leadership will expose who you are. It's a truth. You know, I think a lot of people believe that when you get in pressured situations, pressure makes you who you are, but that's really not the case. Pressure exposes who you are. When you face hard times, difficulties, those circumstances, if you're a secure person, you handle it one way. If your identity is certain and secure, you handle it one way. If you're insecure, you handle it a completely different way. So what pressure in that situation is doing is it's exposing who you really are. And so it's important that we become secure leaders, because secure leaders win. They win for many different reasons. So there are two kinds of leaders, as we've already said: people who lead from security and people who lead from insecurity. And you can tell the difference immediately. One, the insecure leader creates volatility in their organization, where the secure leader creates stability in their organization. Anybody that you see that's really insecure, for many reasons that we'll talk about in just a moment, it just is a really volatile environment. Now remember, as an organization, if we want to succeed, we need vision, we need values, and we need culture. Because we can't control outcomes, but we can control environments. And that's what culture is. And if we have a volatile culture, the chance of success is very small. It's not innovative. It doesn't feel like you can take risks. You don't feel safe to think outside the box in a volatile situation, because you never know what you're getting. But if it's stable, then you can feel strong to move forward with security in your ideas, your thoughts, your innovations, everything, your creativity. It doesn't stifle you. So this is why it's so important. This is why secure leaders win. It's why it's so important that we be secure. The difference is not intelligence, it's identity. So what is identity in leadership? It's understanding who you are. It's understanding what you're responsible for and what you're not responsible for. You know, a few years ago, I just made a decision, about 7-8 years ago, I made a decision that in everything I do, and I do several things. I lead in ministry, I lead in the marketplace, and I lead in a nonprofit situation. And in those cases, I do the same things. I don't do all different things and all these different. I have learned that I want to play to my strengths, I want to play to my gifts, and I want to do the things that God's particularly gifted me. And everything else that falls outside of those things of who I am and what I'm responsible for, I either delegate, I give to people who are much better at it than I am, or I relegate it to the trash pile, because there are probably things that we're busy doing that we don't even need to be doing, right? So it needs to be thought about, and it needs to be thought from a perspective of security. So who am I? What am I responsible for? What am I not responsible for? When identity is unclear, leaders are constantly comparing. They're overextended, if you will. They react emotionally. They struggle with boundaries. They chase relevance. These are all characteristics of people who are unclear about their identity. They're not solid on who they are. When identity is clear, however, decisions get simple because you make decisions out of who you are and what you're responsible for. Your yes is so clear that your no becomes easy. So decisions are made simpler. Focus sharpens. You become much more focused. You're not all over the place. You know what you're trying to do because you know who you are. Emotions stabilize. You're not constantly reacting. You're proactive. Delegation increases because you're not threatened by people who serve with you, but you want to empower them because you know that makes the organization better. And honestly, it makes you better. And then longevity improves. You spend much more time. You develop and you stay and you anchor because you know who you are and you don't feel like you have to constantly move to find the place that's going to fit, right? So here are the 5 signs of insecure leadership. And you can make this kind of a diagnostic for you. You can kind of diagnose, am I a secure leader or am I an insecure leader by just these thoughts? Number 1, comparison. So you measure yourself against your peers constantly. Now listen, I know that in business, especially in the marketplace, entrepreneurial efforts, all of this, there is competition. Competition's good. It's not bad. We're not against competition. But competition is not the same as constant comparison. And what we tend to do is as some folks have said, we look at other people's highlight reels against our, outtakes. And we do the opposite. We either do that, which is insecurity, or we get caught up in pride and we do the opposite. We look at our highlight reels versus their bloopers. Comparison is not a smart game. The only reason you should ever compare is to compare yourself with yourself in becoming better. Am I better than I used to be? Am I improving? Or comparing yourself with others to gain or glean good things that they're doing that you could learn from and get better. Another sign of insecure leadership is overreaction to criticism. When somebody gives you feedback, it feels like a personal attack. When you get in that position where you feel like you're being attacked just because someone's giving you a critique, you're in a bad spot. And the truth is you don't have a lot of confidence and you're being insecure. Feedback is important, and you want feedback because feedback allows us to continually improve daily. Insecurity breeds control issues. You struggle to delegate because your value feels tied to being needed. Man, that's probably the number one cause people won't delegate, because they feel threatened by people they would delegate to, because then if they do this and God forbid they do it better than me, then where's my value? Well, your value is empowering people to do better because that makes you better. It doesn't diminish you. It lifts you. But insecure leadership feels rejected because of delegation. The 4th thing is overcommitment. You say yes to everything because you fear becoming irrelevant. And you think, man, if I don't stay on top of it, I'll say yes to everything. If I'm not everywhere, if I don't be around these people and these people and these people, then no one's going to know me. No one's going to see me. We're not going to grow. We're not going to build. Social media is also driving this, where it's just pushing us to constantly be in front of people and feeling like if we're not, we're somehow going to lose. And the truth is, that's just insecurity speaking, and you got to overcome that. Don't overcommit. Know who you are so much. Know what you're responsible for so much that you do the things you know you should be doing, and you let other things be done by others. And I mean that not just from an individual standpoint, but as an organization. Number 5, you become performance addicted. You rest when you perform well, and you spiral when you don't. These are not personality traits. They're identity leaks. Well, that's just how I am. I'm up when we're doing good and I'm down when we're not. And it's just the way I am. No, it's the fact that you're not sure about who you are and you're not confident about what it is you're supposed to be doing. And so you kind of languish instead of surging into the future and being excited about winning and losing, because losing teaches you how to win. So when you find yourself up when you're winning and in the dumps when you're losing, that inconsistency and lack of level of confidence, you're just revealing insecurity. Okay, so what do secure leaders do differently? If that's what insecure leaders do, what do secure leaders do differently? Well, they celebrate others without insecurity. In other words, they're happy when other people do well, even their competitors, because that means their industry is doing well. They're not defeated by it. They're not overcome by it. It may drive them. Great competitive people are driven by the wins of others. They don't need somebody to lose so they can win. They want everybody to win, but they want to be the top level winner, and that there's nothing wrong with that. But secure people don't fail to celebrate others because they're insecure. Secure leaders hire strong people. They want the most excellent people around them because that makes their organization better. They're not afraid or threatened by strong people. They invite feedback. Most great leaders I know create a continual feedback loop in their life. I know I do this because I want to know, how can I improve? How can I become better? And when sometimes you're not all that self-aware and you can't see the forest for the trees. But if you create a feedback loop, you improve continually because you have trusted confidence in people who will tell you the truth about you. Man, if you're surrounded by people who will not tell you the truth about you, you need help. You're going to be in a bad spot soon. Secure leaders stay calm in conflict. They don't get mad. They don't get angry. They don't overdo it. They don't overreact. They know that a soft answer causes wrath to subside. They act on principle and not on emotion. They don't panic when they're not seen. They don't make long-term decisions based on emotional things. They don't try to make a long-term decision based on a temporary problem. They calmly assess the problem and go to work. So security produces clarity. When you're secure, when you're confident, it makes you focused, it makes you stable, and it causes you to be clear about who you are and what you need to do. And therefore, if you're healthy, your organization becomes healthy, and your organization doing what it does transforms the lives of people who are engaged with your organization. That's what you want. Listen, insecurity produces chaos. When you are unsure about who you are and you are insecure, man, you're inviting chaos. So sometimes if there's chaos going on in your organization, you need to step back and ask yourself, am I being insecure? Am I confident in who I am? Identity filters decision. It's kind of like we see through our identity, and that's how we make decisions. We don't make decisions based on emotion. We don't make decisions based on circumstance. We make decisions based on who we are, what our vision is, what our values are, and what our culture is. That's how we make decisions. One way you could do this is you should write this down. Just write down a sentence, and the end of the sentence is a blank, and it just says, I am responsible for blank. What are you responsible for? What is your main responsibility? Don't write this, I want to be known for blank. Who cares? You want to write, I'm responsible for this, not I want to be known. One is insecure, the other is secure. One is lacking in identity, and the other is clear about identity. I'm responsible for, that statement becomes a decision filter. It's a schedule filter. It's a hiring filter. It's a boundary filter. Think about it. You start making decisions based on your focus. You start making decisions based on what is important to you and your organization. And you stop doing everything. You start doing only what you're responsible for. And it becomes the filter by which you schedule time and priorities and innovation, and all of this is seen through that filter of this is who we are and this is what we do. This is who we're responsible for. I am responsible for what? It doesn't align, if it doesn't align with responsibility, it doesn't get your energy. That's a rule. You should have that as a rule. If it doesn't align with your responsibility, your organization's responsibility, then it shouldn't get any energy from you. You're a leader and you have to make those hard decisions. You can't do everything, so you have to choose, what am I going to do? And anything that you're doing that's unaligned with your responsibility, your vision, your values, your culture, then it's wasted time. It's literally just stuff you're doing that you should not be wasting any energy on. And a lot of those things make you tired. You go home feeling exhausted in your mind. Why? Because you're not in the flow. You're not in focus. Have you ever had to, I have glasses, and so sometimes I've forgotten my glasses or I've lost my glasses, and I've had to read through things without my glasses like a trombone, I guess because I'm getting older. But once you get done reading and you've had to look at this kind of blurry thing and try to figure out it exhausts your mind. Well, that's what it is when you're out of focus. And when you're insecure because you lack an identity, that's what happens. You get out of focus, and that is exhausting. So where identity actually gets formed is in solitude. We don't spend enough time thinking in our world today. We spend too much time making decisions in passing, being married in passing, parenting our kids in passing. We don't spend a lot of time thinking, but great leaders spend time thinking. You need to have some time where you're quiet and you're by yourself and the hustle and bustle are away from you and you're not distracted and your phone is somewhere else, and you sit down and you look out into the distance and just let your mind rest and let it think and process and then purposefully and intentionally think through things. But if we're not spending time thinking through things, then we cannot be intentional about things, and we're just reacting and going through the motions. How can you be focused if you're not clear about what you should be focused on? So identity is formed in solitude. It's formed in self-awareness, asking yourself the right questions, getting feedback from people to get an understanding of blind spots that you don't see because you're you, but other people can see. I guarantee you the people that work around you, they can all see blind spots you have. You can't see it. So it's not that you're being a bad person or that you're not doing well, but it's that there are certain things that you don't see. This is why you need feedback, and the only people that allow for good feedback are people who are secure and have identity confidence. It clarifies your values. It makes you clear on what is important and what's not important. And it clarifies your calling, your vocation, your meaning, the reason you exist. It clarifies it for you. Leaders who never slow down, never settle the identity issue. Listen, you need to understand that your identity is being formed by all that busyness, but it's not a good identity. It's a popular opinion identity, and it's not going to hold you. It's not going to help you. You're going to end up confused and discontented. Leaders who never slow down, never settle it. An unsettled identity produces reactive leadership. Practical leadership. Let's talk about what you could do to help you become more confident in your identity. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to write down. Now you should take notes on this or just watch this over again, and we'll put it in the notes on the YouTube channel. But write these questions down. What do I believe that I am uniquely wired to steward? What am I uniquely wired to be responsible for? Number 2, what leadership lane is actually mine? Number 3, what pressure am I carrying that's not mine? That's an interesting question. And number 4, whose approval still affects my decisions? This is important because what these questions do is they make you aware, they give you clarity about your identity. And so identity is not usually just this simple, I know who I am or I don't know who I am. Because as we process life and we go through life, sometimes our identity is affected. And we need to be the kind of people who revisit and maintain self-awareness to know who we are and what we're responsible for. And that's where growth starts. So leadership will magnify whatever's inside you. If insecurity is inside you, leadership will expose it. If identity is settled, leadership will stabilize others. Secure leaders don't need the spotlight. They build systems, they build people, they build legacy, and they have longevity as a result. Man, I really want to be the kind of person who knows who I am, knows what I'm responsible to steward, and just really goes after that 100% all in. No holding back, no being afraid, no fear to risk, no fear to fail, just focused and all in on who I am and who I'm responsible to be. Man, that'll help you. Hey, thanks for joining us today for this podcast, and I hope you're getting something out of it. And I want to encourage you to subscribe, share, comment, like, invite others who could use the help with leadership and want to know more, discuss more, talk about the philosophy of leadership. You'll be hearing more about some different things we're going to do, some group coaching opportunities and some individual coaching opportunities. And also, we're going to interview some leaders that'll help you see from other people's perspective besides mine what's going on in their world, in their business, in their marketplace, in their industry, and how they're leading through it. So thank you for joining us today. God bless you. Have a great week.